what we want to do now is move into Q&A. So if you guys want to bring the chairs out so we can sit down, and I want to bring Donnie up again because some of the questions are going to be for him. And then Chris Dole. Chris Dole is our new head of zoological operations. Chris was a swimmer at Wisconsin, can you tell? A good swimmer. And Steve, you're just going to read away on the questions?
You got it, and we really thank everybody for all of your questions. We have a lot of questions. Clearly, we probably won't get to everyone, so if we do not get to your question, please make sure we get your email address, write it on a card, and leave it with one of our team members in purple, or me, whoever, at SeaWorld, and make sure you leave your email address with us, and we'll get those questions answered. But the first question, guys, this is a really great question, a great way to lead off. It is, well, hi, my name is Seth Tasbeer, and I am now 12. I've been coming here ever since I was 2 when I found my forever family. I am special needs, and Tilly is my best friend. I need to know how he is.
All right, I think I'm going to let Chris.
Yeah, that is a great question. Tilly is all of our friend, and that, Steve, that is a perfect question to start off with. Thank you very much for asking the question. So Tilly, actually, the short story is that Tilly is doing great today. He is on the mend, slowly, but you know, at the same time, we want to keep in mind that he is an older killer whale, and he still has his illness. So every day we check on him. Every day his trainers pay attention to him. He has a complete sort of look over every morning, and then our veterinary team does a complete health assessment on him. Really every other day we get blood results from him. So he's making small incremental improvements in his lab results, which is a very good sign. But he has his up days and his down days. So today's an up day so far. We're going to continue to pay close attention to him. And keep them on that path towards hopefully ultimately resolution and health again.
The next question is, now that there will no longer be whale theatrical shows, do you foresee that other animal theatrical shows will also be phased out? Basically, what is the long-term goal of SeaWorld for your animals?
I should take that one. We are not making any other decisions on the other shows at this time. We're going to learn from our orca encounter and see how our guests respond to it, and then we'll apply those learnings to our other shows. And I think as we take it a step at a time. Just the orca show alone is going to be a 3-year implementation, because we understand we have to take it a step at a time, and we have to do it right. So I can't make any predictions other than we will learn from our orca.
Why has SeaWorld made no public attempt to rescue Lolita from the Miami Seaquarium? Her conditions could be vastly improved through SeaWorld's care, and surely would improve many opinions on the care of SeaWorld's orcas.
Yeah, we get that question. I'm going to let Chris answer. He's more of an expert.
Yeah, so Lolita is an interesting case. She's an older killer whale also, and she's been at the Miami Seaquarium for a very long time. But we in the marine mammal health community and at SeaWorld, working with the Miami Seaquarium, have a great working partnership, professional partnership. Their veterinarians talk with our veterinary team all the time. And despite what would look like a disparity in the space or the kinds of pools that Lolita lives in versus our whales, Lolita is actually a very healthy killer whale. She's living a very long life in a place that she's very familiar with. So her veterinary team, her animal health team, and those of us who work with killer whales really believe that moving her from that scenario may be ultimately more detrimental to her health and well-being than just allowing her to stay there with the dolphins that she lives with and the people she's familiar with. So she's an older whale, and she's thriving there at Miami Seaquarium. But we are a community of animal health professionals. We always want to do as much as we possibly can for the health and well-being of these animals whose care we're entrusted with. So we are always in constant dialogue as a community.
Thanks, Dr. Bill. I want to assure Michael Fletcher, our Vice President of Entertainment, that I did not write this question. My wife and I have been annual pass holders since 2001, and we were wondering if SeaWorld would bring back the water ski show, which we enjoy. Other than that, we enjoy everything at SeaWorld. We think everyone is doing a super job.
Donnie answer that question.
Yeah,
I know we have a ski show.
you know, one of the things I noticed sitting here, I look at these two guys and I go, gosh, I wish I had a phone book to sit on it, for those of you who remember. But you know, we're always talking about the future. When we think about future investment, we identify gaps and opportunities because we certainly want to advance the experience in a number of ways. And we haven't talked about the ski show per se, but we have talked about the lake, and the lake presents a wonderful opportunity, a canvas, if you will, a stage, to do something spectacular on. So I think there's going to be more conversation around that concept of using the lake as a stage versus a ski show. But the one thing you can depend on from SeaWorld, and not only SeaWorld, but all of our parks across our system, is there's more to come.
Thanks, Donnie. My daughter has been inspired by her 8 years of summer camps to enter college as a marine biologist. I'm concerned now that PETA has won, they will go after the rest of the marine life, and eventually the inspiration will be gone. How far are you willing to push back?
Yep, that's a good question. I don't feel like PETA has won. They might have a victory with the orca issue. However, we weren't responding, and I know I said this earlier, but you have to believe me on this. We did not respond to PETA. We responded to data that said the bass middle. PETA's been pushing for a long time on a variety of issues. There was a perfect storm on the orca situation. A lot of issues, you know, unfortunately Dawn's accident, legislation, a movie that wasn't very true but got a lot of traction, and just a variety of issues. And we were the only ones that had orcas. I don't think there's going to there'll be a lot of traction on other animals, but if there is, I do promise one thing, at least as long as I'm here, we're not going to wait to respond on any unfair attacks.
The next question. I love SeaWorld Orlando and have been coming to this park for about 30 years. Your aquariums and animal exhibits are awesome, especially the new Antarctica exhibit. Will you continue investing in aquarium and animal exhibits?
Absolutely, absolutely. In fact, you know, some of the ideas we have in the Middle East and some of our new ideas for here, as we think about 50 years from now without an orca encounter here, what can we do? And certainly a huge Invest in World aquarium is one of the ideas. That's not for certain, but it's certainly something we have to keep investing in.
Not precisely an aquarium, but along these lines, look for something new at the relaxation station adjacent to the Wild Arctic Q area. Look for something new there in the first 10 days of June. I think you'll enjoy it.
When this all started, why did the company not do more to bury the blackfish effect? Also, why and how does the legislation in California affect Orlando and San Antonio parks?
You know, as I said, the decision was a perfect storm. I don't have to repeat what I said, why it was a perfect storm, and certainly the documentary Blackfish was one of the elements there. Do I wish the company had fought harder, faster? Yes, I wasn't here, but I do think there were a lot of issues that made it a perfect storm. Having said that, I think all we can do, we've made this very difficult decision, we're moving forward, and I don't know, but PETA had a press release this week, and we put out a statement immediately that pushed back on their unreasonable and unproven and unscientific request to put our orcas in sea cages that introduces more risk to the whale and costs hundreds of millions of dollars for no improvement to the whale. So we'll push back on anything that's unreasonable in the future. It was his question.
Donnie knows this, I've had this for 39 years. Nobody ever said anything about anything you guys did in this wonderful place until what happened with Dawn. And I know you weren't here, but maybe Donnie can answer this. I think if the company had done more sooner, a lot of this would have happened.
Well,
I mean, they're so well. I love Dawn like she was mom because I talked to her today before it happened. But I just think if we had done something, you know, or you.
well, I appreciate that, and I know you're a very passionate season pass holder, and I appreciate the passion. And I am not going to deny the fact that I think the company could have reacted better to the attacks against it. And I think to revisit it too much it is what it is at this point, and the research was really, really clear. And but I can promise you, and I'm very energetic, especially as a leader who had to be part of a very difficult decision with our board. I'm very determined to stick up for the company and move really quickly, because it's just, this is a beautiful, great company that got a bad rap. That's why I came here. And I really thought communicating the truth would win, but after a year of doing it, we came to a different conclusion, and we had to remove a barrier and move on. But I'm with you, man. We got to fight. We got to fight.
Thank you, Bill. And just a reminder to everybody, what we'd like to do is we're going to try to push through these questions as quickly as possible so that we can get to everybody's
Yeah, my
questions.
was a little wordy, sorry.
No, not you. it's me. It's all me. Here's a good one. Anything more for pass holders due to giving up the big show? So, anything new on the way?
More than 20% off? Yeah, three things you can get in early? Go ahead.
I don't have more to announce today, but I will tell you that it is a frequent conversation that being a pass member needs to be part of something, and that easily led to the pass member lounge. It's got to be more than it includes your parking and you get 10% off. It has to be more than that. So we quickly worked on that, and the first execution was a pass member lounge. But you heard me say we're going to have a pass member area this summer at Aquatica, and we're going to continue to look for ways to elevate the benefits and make sure that you have reasons to remain a pass member, to attend opportunities like this, and give us feedback. Sometimes the feedback comes in opportunities for improvement, criticism, which is fine. Sometimes it's support and praise. I'll take either one. I like the latter better, but I'll take either one. So yeah, there's definitely more to come. One of the questions I bet that's probably going to come up is about entry and exit to the park, which every theme park, every water park of any kind is always looking to make the entry and exit process more efficient. And we have opportunity because we, as you may or may not realize when you're up there, we have a main entrance, but we have a side area. And one of the opportunities for us that we could probably act upon pretty easily is when we know we're going to be busy. I mean, we know when we're busy, summer, Easter, Christmas, and a few other times of the year, maybe open up a pass member entrance to make it easier for you to enter and exit the park. So we'll take a quick look.
Thank you, Donnie. Does anyone else actually advocate for animals, particularly marine animals, like SeaWorld does?
Of course, we're biased. No. Well, there's a lot of great organizations, and I'll let Chris answer that, but there are hundreds of great organizations.
You know, it is it's a really great question. Did I just do that? With my giant chin. I don't think anybody connects with as many people the way SeaWorld does, and allows all of you and all of the millions of other folks who come to our parks all the time to see and appreciate and fall in love with our animals, and then understand what advocacy is on behalf of animals in the wild. No, nobody else does it like SeaWorld. But there are a lot of other great organizations out there, zoos, ocean area, around, not just the United States, but around the world, that have the same drumbeat that we do, right? That have the same, want to build that same sense of ethos and awareness that we all need to have and really treasure, so that we can be good stewards of this planet that we share with some incredible animals. So it's a wonderful community, but no, gosh darn, I'm really proud of what we do here at SeaWorld, and no one does it like we do.
Are there any plans to bring the mimes back?
In the 15 months that I was motioning to the booth, I'll take that. In the 15 months that I've been here, it's come up a couple of times, not a lot, but I remember how well it was executed. Particularly Blue Horizons comes to mind, and I'm not making this up because I'm sitting in front of you. I am terribly honest and transparent, but I actually talked to my wife about that recently, and I said, I've got to follow up with Michael Fletcher in our entertainment department. We've got to build that back into our plans going forward. So I would say we're going to take a serious look at that. And, but I also need to be, clear with you. I don't see that coming back this year, but as early as 17, that makes more sense from a, how we plan our business perspective. So look for that. Look for to use the Mako term, look for the resurfacing. So resurfacing.
That's a scary visual you just created.
Yeah.
And what year will the Orca shows stop in Orlando?
17, 18, 19 would be the year that the new one would be introduced. So it would end at end of 18 is the current plan. It can always change.
How will the changes at SeaWorld affect the zoological operations at the bush parks?
I really don't see a change at the bush park. Do you see anything?
No, it's kind of, that's an overarching question. I think that the change that we've announced with regards to our killer whales does not have any large change in terms of how we approach animal care, the kinds of animals that we bring into the parks, and ultimately, certainly our commitment to their health and well-being, but fundamentally our commitment to connecting all of you, our guests, with those animals in new and inspirational ways. So no changes.
As A Wondrous Nights is so popular, will there be more shows scheduled this year of A Wondrous Nights?
I'll answer the question right now, possibly. And we realize how popular it is, and it's, when I had the opportunity, when I joined the team last year to see it, it's a fantastic show. I spent much of my career on the Bush Sesame side, and certainly came to the SeaWorld parks, but I was focused on the Bush Sesame side. But it's an outstanding show, and it seems to speak to everybody. One of the things you have to keep in mind when you're in the business we're in is people and animals have limits. And we have to be respectful of those limits. So sometimes a show like that, to do more, you have to double cast, and it's not a simple decision, it's a very big decision. So we'll take a look at that. But we are not ready to make an announcement, but I'll tell you exactly what it is. We'll let our marketing folks handle it with the timing that they'd like to have. But this Christmas, the celebration here at SeaWorld, you're going to see a new component, a new realm, if you will, that you haven't seen in the past. So we may not have more A Wondrous Night shows, but I can tell you that we're going to keep the Christmas celebration fresh. Okay?
Just to add what Don said, that the thought of festivals and shows to add elements to be repeatable and come back to the park is definitely an important part of our future, because I think festivals are an incredible way to change up how the park feels to different groups of audiences, and I think it's a good strategy.
Will Mako have seatbelts, since the bar seems lower around the lap area?
No, it's a 54-inch height requirement, but it has a lap bar, a specially designed lap restraint, and which has been successfully used in other places. It's not exactly the same as Apollo's Chariot in Williamsburg, where I have previously worked, but it's similar in design. They're both hypercoasters, so no, not a seatbelt.
Do you have any plans for educator or teacher programs?
Educator or teacher programs, meaning like discounts or?
I would have to assume that, because we already have quite a few.
Take that for
I'm a teacher, I teach 7th grade science, and I was wondering if you were planning on offering programs for teachers. I know at Bush you do, and there's sort of advertised here, but they haven't been offered, and I need to bring something to my kids.
Okay.
I can show them pictures, I can show them videos, But I gotta bring them something.
So you mean a program that we would offer to you as a
Yes.
teacher, that you would then take it to the classroom?
Yes.
That's a great idea. You know, my best answer I can give you right now is we'll get to work on it. So that's an interesting idea, and first step is to call our colleagues at Busch Gardens and maybe learn from them, okay?
We also, and so you're sort of thinking, in addition to bringing classes here for our educational program, things to come out to you. So we have a couple of new online resources. We're always at the SeaWorld.org site that has the content. It's not a ready-made curriculum to give to kids in the classroom. But recently we started up a whole bunch of video series at TeacherTube, which is a YouTube resource that I'm sure you're familiar with. And then we have a couple of other pending resources that are out there that aren't ready for prime time yet, but will be. The fundamental goal there being to increase the options for you when you're building your curricula and getting the marine content, all of our information out there. And getting them to your students ultimately. So we'll have those resources available. And then last but not least, I would just, if you can connect maybe with me afterwards here or with our education department here, any feedback you have for us in terms of how to make that easier, we'd love to hear.
Great, thanks.
Yeah.
The next question, the whales are just a start. Soon all animals will be gone. What do you say to fans that come for animals and not rides? Worried that SeaWorld we know and love is gone.
Well, that's making an assumption that's not true. I think we've already addressed that with, we understand the feeling with the Orc decision, why some people would feel that way, but it was a perfect storm, as I've said, and there's absolutely no plan to let it go anywhere else. In fact, there's a plan of how to make sure that doesn't go anywhere else. And I've said it before, and there's a false assumption in that question.
Joel, this is specifically for you. Why did you leave Hersham for SeaWorld?
Because two things. One is I have always loved SeaWorld. The first theme park I ever went to was Busch Gardens, and I've always loved the company. I'm an animal lover, grew up on a farm, and I just love who they are, and so our operations here are incredible. The second thing is, regardless of the controversy we were involved in and some of the tough decision we made, I've always been a real culture advocate. I wrote a book called Love Works while I was at Hersham that talks about how you treat employees. The level of enthusiasm of your guest experience can't rise any higher than the enthusiasm of your own employee. And unfortunately, I haven't been able to focus a lot on that. And I've always wanted to do that within a public company to show that it's not just private companies that can care about people and still get great results, also public companies. So it's really both issues, and I'd like to be able to start focusing on the second one now that we got through a difficult decision to move forward.
I love this first question. It's a two-part question. First one is, how are you?
No, I'm not. Me or these guys?
I think you individually, but I assume everyone.
But, it's been a difficult year, to be honest with you. And like I said, no one likes to make the decision we had to make. But I feel really, really good about the future, what you've seen for this year here, where we're headed. I know for sure with passionate customers like you and the way we care about animals and wild places, I know it fits into where society's headed. And we're all about moving forward now. And so I'm very good, and I'm excited about the future.
We're all good. We're all good. Second part of the question. Are you excited about Mako?
I'm incredibly excited. Are you excited? Yes. I like that answer much better. Although I don't know that she's 54 inches. But anyway.
Are there plans to develop a better line of communication between pass holders and SeaWorld for questions, suggestions, compliments, etc.? Perhaps Twitter, email?
I think the short answer is yes. This and what we did online with an 800 number call-in, we're definitely looking for better ways to be engaged and be transparent. And you guys are, the reason we're all here is because of you. So we definitely want to open up the lines of communication, which we're trying to do. So yes.
Will we still accept injured orcas?
Yes. You know, the government controls all those decisions, and if we are asked to help with any rescue of any marine mammal or any animal, we step in and do what we can.
The next question is, how have the animal trainers reacted?
You know, as I said earlier, I met with all of the whale trainers, and Chris was with me, Donnie was here. You know, the park presidents were at each individual park, and actually my wife came with me too, as kind of moral support. And it was incredibly emotional. And you can imagine they were not just, it wasn't just a difficult decision. It was kind of 5 years of things that have been happening. And but like I said, the next day I got letters back from them. They appreciated the conversation, just like I would hope you would appreciate this kind of conversation. And they're moving forward, and we've got them very engaged in this New Orca encounter. I just got a picture with all of them in a line, and they had their boards with all the stick-em notes of what they want to see in each of the segments, like the segment on how they hunt, how they play, how they interact, how they engage. And it was really, you saw it too, Chris, it's really exciting that they're starting to focus on the future.
When did you think of the idea for Mako?
Well, that was more, actually the first week before I even was announced, that was kind of the first decision, was to approve that. But it was in works with the interim CEO. I don't know, Donnie, if you were involved in that, but I did. It was not my idea. I just had to write the check.
Generally, new product development is a 3-year process. It can be a little longer, it can be a little shorter, but generally it starts 3 years prior to something opening, and it starts with identifying through research what are our opportunities, what are our gaps, what's the consumers, our guests telling us that we have a gap, an opportunity to fill to advance the experience in a meaningful way. But typically it's a 3-year process.
Donnie, I think you already touched on this to a degree, but the question is, will there be a past preview for Mako?
Yeah, I mean, the 3 options are the opportunity to come, the 1,000 people before we open, and then the opportunities to come after we open, but not, you know, we assume it's going to be very, very popular, so we're giving past members an opportunity to efficiently get to the front of the line, if you will, by either the quick queue or the early entry, and enjoy this wonderful coaster.
With the stopping of One Ocean, will there be more exposure to the whales with the guests, like you have with the dolphins?
I'm not sure what that means, other than we purposely designed variable experiences so everyone gets an experience that they desire with our animals. So it's a big, they want to see it for free, or with just the price of admission. It's the large stadium, and it'll be the Orca encounter. But we also allow backstage tours and one-on-one activities and interaction with our whale trainers as well. So all of that will still continue for sure as we move forward.
Question is, how can I get into ride design at SeaWorld? I'm very interested in doing this as a career.
Send your resume. You go on our website, I believe, and there's a jobs section of our website, and send us your resume. You never know.
What is your strategy towards dark rides, shows, and roller coasters and other themed attractions?
Strategy to dark rides. Big picture, I do think that the SeaWorld parks aren't quite as, don't have quite the balance that like the Busch parks do, and there might be a few more rides added here than at the Busch parks, big picture, and I think we're trying to show that with Mako. But the key is when we do it, it still fits to our mission and our vision. It still has to be about an experience that matters, and then educating people on the plight of animals in the wild and inspiring them to act. And I don't think that just happens at a live animal show. I think we want it to be permeating throughout our entire park and all 20,000 employees. Like one small thing we did, our name tags now, each employee has the cause that they're dedicated to versus where they're from, and that will start conversations with guests so that they know, and they know how they can help with that cause. So does that, hopefully that answers the question.
Will Dine with Shamu continue?
Yes, I mean, that's a definitive yes.
Good answer. Why is your app and internet showtimes not updated when the showtimes are updated on the maps?
I'm sure glad you brought that up in front of me. Because apparently there's an opportunity for improvement we have that I hadn't discovered until now. We'll have an intensive focus on that. I tell my wife on a regular basis, honey, I'm just a man. So.
Is the walkway by and around Mako going to be open for guests to watch those on the ride?
Is the walkway behind Mako?
By and around it.
Well, there's a walkway in front of it. The track goes over it in a couple of places. There's a plaza that takes you in closer to the station. So everything that's intended to be open will be open. So, and we have enlarged the Shark Plaza because remember, Mako's more than a coaster. It's a realm. And it's an opportunity to further educate people and make people more aware about the plight of sharks and things that we need. We can't act on if we're not aware of it. Nobody can do what they don't know. It's just a simple fact. So, yeah, we're going to create the largest area we can so people can experience the ride. I think that it goes over the sidewalk in 2 different places will make it very exciting. We're thinking ahead to have a very efficient queue. If the queue line that we build into it, like you would on any attraction, if we extend it, we don't want to block that area out in front of the ride and make it congested. So we have what I think is a very smart plan to build an extended queue that if needed will actually use this theater as part of that space.
This is kind of an interesting question. One of the things that keeps us coming back is the mix of thrills and relaxed atmosphere. Is this mix, this balance, something that is actively discussed among management?
Yes, it actually is. And whoever said that, we are all firm believer in that. One of our differentiation from our competition here in Orlando is it's a more relaxed feeling. And we want your heart rate to go up sometimes, but also have plenty of opportunities, which is why I think Donnie's idea, it was his idea, he drove the past member lounge was a brilliant idea because it allows you a chance to rest and relax a little bit and have plenty of places to sit and lots of shade. I mean, we have, our horticulture is unbelievable. It's on purpose.
Is ending the breeding program a concrete, never-changing decision?
Well, I do believe that probably beyond my lifetime, 100, 200 years from now, 300 years from now, as animals, as oceans are overtaken by pollution and human development, and more animals are going extinct, they're going to be calling on companies like SeaWorld to do more. And I think someday they may ask us to take whales again, but it's not something that we're gonna address now, but someday, because I think companies like SeaWorld and what we do are incredibly needed and will be in the future.
This next question is from a 4-year-old with really good handwriting. What kind of food did the dogs get? Is it healthy?
Well, I'm not allowed to drop the name of brands of food, but yes, it is. It's very healthy dog food, every animal that lives within our parks receives the highest quality of care and the best diet that they could possibly eat, right? You are what you eat. You need a healthy diet in order to be as healthy as possible, and the dogs are no exception.
Are you aware, HSUS, the Humane Society, is posting on Facebook that orcas are just the beginning. If they do make it on their posts and want to empty all tanks, How do you plan on handling this? Without animals, there will be no SeaWorld. Also, reputation of HSUS as a charity is terrible.
What was the last one? The last part?
Reputation of HSUS as a charity is terrible.
Yeah, and I've heard that last point, and honestly, we haven't gotten into how they spend their money. We were very focused on how we spend our money, and that's, and seriously, we've committed $50 million over the next 5 years to be the largest rescue organization in the world, and that's an incredible statement. On the first part, you know, there are some things on their website that are inconsistent with, or at least disagree with our position. I have a relationship with Wayne where I call him up and I talk to him about it, and we have had dialogue to change them and change some links. Look, I think their constituency, they have a different constituency that they'll want to keep having conversation. That doesn't mean that conversation is going to go anywhere, but we always